There have been probably five times, maybe even 10 times, 10 moments where I've written in my log, I have found the secret, this is it, I'm onto something, circle, circle, underline, brackets, bold letters. There's been like 5 or 10 times in my training career, majority of them have been in the squat everyday journey, where I've kind of felt like I've found something that is going to send me forward, something that's kind of going to address that missing thing that I have, the missing link, the glue, that it thing. And probably I would say a third of those have been in relation to the posterior chain, in relation to like a hamstring, kind of pulling motion, glute, adductor, something along those lines. The start of the second book that I have, the start of the second log that I started, on the front cover, on the hard cover of the thing, I wrote basically like a little key points summarizing everything that I've learned in the previous book. And I moved away from those things. I did it for about a page or two, so a month or two, and then I moved away from them because my mind ran off with another idea. And now I find myself in the damn thing, in the same damn spot that I was on that front cover. What I wrote on that front cover was along these lines: RDLs, good mornings, push to pull ratio, that kind of thing. The reason why I moved away from that front cover, instructions, plan, guideline, realization, is because of the damn cost. It is so freaking expensive to do those things. Good mornings, RDLs, volume deadlifts, block pulls, anything with volume with these type of movements are so damn expensive, man. So damn expensive. And I can almost trace my thoughts of how I ended up to where I am right now. Okay, it's so damn expensive, but can I substitute isolation exercises which are comprising these movements, RDLs, deadlifts, good mornings? Because these exercises are so damn expensive. Can I break them up? Can I do an isolation like a leg curl machine, and then maybe do some hip thrusts, and then maybe do some hyper 45 hypers, and then combine all of those exercises together? I have what would otherwise be addressed in these big movements without the central nervous fatigue, without the smashing of the freaking human body. I've said this many times that I have like this lack of resilience when it comes to pulling volume. This is kind of why the whole deadlift every day, like part of that idea was I want to get resilience, resistance, fatigue resistance in that kind of plane of motion, in that hip hinging. Yesterday I pushed hard the RDL, worked up to 220 for a set of 2, then I did 3 sets of 5 with 200. Freaking exhausted, man, freaking exhausted. Not surprised, and I'm not gonna run away from it this time. I'm gonna put up with it. I'm gonna try and do the best I can. Freaking exhausted, man. I can do a big squat routine and the following day I wake up and I'm fresh. This is the craziest thing, man. Like, I remember I did like 3 big squat routines in 1 week, and I was fine. But if I was to do like a 5x5 on the deadlift 3 times a week, just spent, man. What did I do today? I walked in and I didn't really want to train today when everything's freaking lower back, mid back, traps, the hands, the grip. This is sore. Traps. Everything's sore, man. Like, you know, and so when you go into a squatting motion, you feel like you have no backbone, man. Like I'm missing a freaking backbone. You can't, you know, what's the saying? You can't shoot a canoe. You can't shoot a cannon off a canoe. That's kind of how I feel. Like I have no base. I have no core. Today I came in, man. I'll show some clips here, man. But did some RDLs basically. I went back to the same thing with the hope that I was gonna have some sort of like an active recovery type thing happening here. I wanted to do 5 sets of 10 with a light weight. I picked 50% of my max, which is 210 probably, 220, whatever I did yesterday. I ended up doing 10 sets of 10, which is stupid, right? Like but I just kept saying to myself, like, I have to add some sort of resilience to this whole thing. I have to add some resilience. So I took an hour to do these 10 sets of 10. And I didn't really plan on doing much else. I went to front squats after that. I did, what did I work up to do? 100 kilos, man. 100 kilos for a set of 5. There's no spark, there's no poppiness, there's nothing. Like, I just spent, man, absolutely gone. And today's a day off, and last night I slept really well and ate well and hydrated and all those things, but nothing can make up the fatigue that you accumulate from doing something that you're not so resilient at. Like I said, squatting is not a problem at all to me, but man, RDLs, they feel good. Like yesterday, I felt really, really good doing them. They feel like I'm doing something like meaningful. There's going to be carryover. But my God, are they expensive. You could really, like, in my mind, I can really just go right now, and all I should freaking do right now is do RDLs, front squats and back squats. I didn't do any sumos today. I'm not up for any technical freaking split training. Not in the mindset of it. Like I'm just spent. I don't want to have to go into like think and any of that. I just wanted something just straight to RDLs and be done with it. So tomorrow I've got a day shift. So tomorrow I'm going to be getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm really intrigued to see how I'm going to wake up tomorrow. But I'll come in again and I'll go straight to RDLs. Screw it. Straight to RDLs. Add some of that freaking volume. Keep hitting it at 50%. Just head on. I'm going to just run at it head on. Let's see where I end up with this. Let's see. Sick of it, man. Sick of this whole like cyclical pattern that I have, man. Like it's like pituitary chain, and then my mind runs off, and then I go on for months on end testing these other things, trying to work out a system where squat every day can exist, but it's so freaking hard to kind of put all this together. It's impossible to do these RDLs with proper volume and do squatting with proper volume. It's impossible, man. But this is my hope. My hope is that I can eventually get to a point where I have, strong lower back, hamstrings, glutes, and then whatever the freaking volume for that is, I'll just do a third for the squatting. And if you think about it, like if my frequency is that high, the daily volume doesn't have to be that high. I know today I did 10 sets of 10. That was kind of predominantly out of frustration because I knew I can't back squat. I knew I can't freaking deadlift. I knew I can't front squat back, so I can't do any of that. So I'm just going to do exactly what got me into this mess in the first place. So I'm freaking motivated to do these RDLs, man. I'm really motivated. I'm like right now I'm feeling really, really tired. It's just like anytime I have DOMs through the lower back, like the erectors, glutes, hamstrings, like all of that stuff, man, it's just so freaking taxing to me, man. Right now all I want to do is go back in the house and freaking sleep. It's just so damn taxing. I probably did too much yesterday, probably. And I do this quite often, I just thought to myself, like, there's so many things in my mind right now, like tomorrow I won't be able to go hammer and tongs and an exercise like that because I've got work. I'll be freaking spent tomorrow if I did that. So on the days off that I have from work, I always think to myself, okay, this is the moment where you're going to push hard. This is the moment you're going to push hard. And so I pushed hard and I'm freaking paying for it. So when people talk about periodization and programming, man, you don't understand, man. Like doing a 12-hour shift in ED, man, like you can't do what I did yesterday and then go in 12 hours in freaking ED and with all that stress. It's a different thing when we're talking about normal people, man. People that have normal jobs, people that have other responsibilities. When I had that 2 or 3 week period where I had annual leave, man, oh my God. All you have to do is train and sleep and recover. Jesus, what a difference, man. It's an unbelievable difference. Unbelievable. And if you fast forward 5 or 10 years of that type of program where you're just recovering, sometimes I think to myself, man, the whole point of all of this is just recovery. That's all this is. And there's so many things eating at your recovery. As a normal person with a young family and a career, there's so many things competing for that same reservoir of fuel. So, sometimes I have periods where I'm like, I'm not doing enough. I gotta push harder. And then right now, I'm like, you push way too hard, man. Like, you go work tomorrow, the next day, and I've got a night shift coming on. It's just like, how do you deal with all that stuff? This is like, if I go back 7 years, man, if I go back to the first thought of squat every day, like full auto regulation training, the first thought was recovery, shift work. How do you, as a shift worker, doing nights and days with, oscillating quality of sleep and food, how does one train? You have to be so auto-regulated, and you have to pick your battles. You can't be like, every Wednesday I'm doing, you can't do every Wednesday, because if a Tuesday comes up and you have a night shift, you're gonna wake up on the Wednesday at 2 or 3 o'clock p.m. and you're gonna feel like shit. And so that 80% effort for volume that you had planned is not gonna go well, man. If you do that, you're gonna send yourself back freaking a week for the recovery. This is part of the frustration. This is how months on end go by, and I try to make sense of it all, but it's freaking hard, man, because the goalposts are always freaking moving. They're always moving. And depending on the roster, depending on how everything goes, I'm thinking about all these guys now that I've heard in my life, all these guys with proper labor jobs, tilers and concreters and stuff, where they skip leg day, right? They're like, man, I can't afford to do legs, man. I'd love to do legs, but I can't freaking go and work 12 hours on a freaking building site with sore ass and sore legs, man. I have to work, man. If I don't work, if I don't put those tiles down, I'm not getting money. So I can't even blame them that they skip leg day, because it's freaking painful, man. I don't know, maybe there's people out there who have resilience to this type of stuff, a bent over position, good mornings and all that, but I don't know, man. A lot of people, so if you have resilience for the pulling exercises, you're probably really soft with the squatting exercises. And so one or the other, man, ends up being no leg day. You know what I mean? This is the trouble of, when training is not your number one thing. For me, training is pretty high up there, man, but there's few freaking steps on that ladder that come before training. And for years I used to think to myself, the night shifts are not that, not that disruptive to sleep and eating or whatever. But man, I've noticed, man, it's, sometimes it takes 3 or 4 days for you to get back to normal. And in those days, I'm squatting every day, man. I'm trying to work out. So there's so many different, people talk about the stress, recovery, adaptation, those curves, SRA curves. Man, there's SRA curves for everything. For the night shift, for the muscles, for the ligaments, for the tendons, for the CNS. This is where it's funny to me when people are like, all right, let's pencil in a program for the next 6 months. Okay, if you're in a Soviet system where everything is controlled for you, got 8 hours of training and no one can touch you, and that's your profession. But with so many different things happening, and it's not just me, I've got a family and they've got things they have to do. There's just so many different things to juggle. So this is where it gets a bit tricky for me. I want to do volume, but tomorrow I won't be able to do volume. The next day I won't be able to do work because I've got a day shift and then a night shift. And then the night shift basically eats up 2 days, because the day leading up to it, I can't go crazy because I've got a night shift. And then when I wake up from a night shift, I've got I've slept throughout the freaking daytime. I've missed a whole bunch of meals, and I wake up and then I'm like, okay, so I don't have the reservoir for it. It's just like 3 days of training where I've not gone hard. And so then on the days off, like yesterday, I went hammer and tongs. I went hard at it, and I'm freaking smashed. This is the thing with high frequency training. Like if you can somehow optimize this stuff so where you can do little bits every single time, that's kind of what appeals to me the most in my life. Having these expensive bills that you have to pay over the following 3 or 4 days, 5 days, these massive recovery bills, man, like you gotta take that bill with you to work, and it's hard. This is where it gets very, very tricky, but we've spoken about this on the comments, and this is not the first time I've made a video like this. It's I'm not making excuses. I'm not making why I don't progress, why I don't do this. It's just the reality, and I'm not the only one. A lot of you guys have even worse schedules than me. It's just, this is a key ingredient in my thinking. This is the key ingredient. Like, it's all well and good, man, if you're a freaking athlete and you get the training programs and you're like, oh, I'm gonna do what this guy did. Well, what does he do for a living, man? He's an Instagram model. He's a guy that gets paid his full freaking salary. He can live off of this thing. What do you gotta do, man? So you have to, there's a lot of things to kind of throw into the same bucket so you can work out what's what. It's not just about the sets and reps, intensity, volume, periodization. There's a lot more to it, man. Stress doesn't just come in the form of a freaking rep. So many things. And sometimes I get frustrated by all of these things because all I really want to do is this freaking thing. Like, I just want to get after it. But, I could have gone crazy today. It's just asking for trouble. Like, I can't stabilize my core. Everything's freaking sore. So I just, leave it undercooked. Try and recover for tomorrow and see what I can do for tomorrow. And a lot of times, like these morning sessions that I will have tomorrow as well, I feel rushed. I wake up at 4:30. I'll get in here at 4:50 or something like this. And then I've got like a 45-minute session to work out, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning. It's not cold anymore, but it's pretty cold, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And so then it's like, don't push too hard because of all of these factors. Don't push too hard because you've got a whole freaking 12-hour day ahead of you. Anyway, that's the reality. That's the reality when you're a hobbyist, like most of us are. You do the best you can, and you auto-regulate, and you have to keep that ego in check. Like, I've had times where I've been like, oh, shut the hell up, I'm gonna get my volume in. I penned it in last week, I have to get it in. And then you freaking screw yourself, man. This is how the hip pain dragged on for freaking 6 to 9 months for me, on and off. Because on days where I wasn't ready, on days where I was really tired, and tightness is a weird thing, man. Tightness could be just simply because you're under-recovered. You haven't overslept, so the body kind of protects these certain body parts. And so then you load that 180, 190, 200 onto a hip that's not ready to take it, and you force it into these deep hip flexion, external rotation, internal rotation, whichever way you squat, into these end ranges of motion, and then you push it out and you put that shit down on paper. I did 200 times 1, but what really did you do, man? Is that body ready to take that force? Is it ready? This is all part of it, and these are the things you have to kind of compete with. I want to do the RDLs, I want to do them, but they're so damn freaking expensive. So my mind now is, how do I approach that? And this is it. I'm going to give it a freaking good old block of trying to work that out. That means, once again, shaving all the other crap off the table, trying to put all my few points of recovery that I have into this thing so I can get that resilience. Because every time I do these RDLs, I feel good. I feel good under the bar. So tomorrow, what I'm going to do tomorrow? Tomorrow I'm going to do RDLs again, but I'm going to have to go slow and easy. Oh man, I'm gonna write in that book again today. Same thing. And I can take whatever I write today, I can go back to the front cover, whenever that thing was, 3, 4, 5 months ago. And I can go back to the old book and I'll find the exact same freaking paraphrasing type thing where I said the exact same thing. In circles we go. Sometimes I gotta hit my head on the same damn spot on the wall 100 times before I'm like, oh, I reckon there's something about that. Anyway, 20-minute video again. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.